How is everybody doing tonight? Welcome back to Boys in the Zone. We have a special little episode here with the creators of the Star We Are Twitter page, all of the hosts of their up-and-coming podcasts and stuff like that. They're getting on with me tonight to talk some ball, talk about Monday night, and overall just stuff that's going to happen over the bye week. And without further ado, we're just going to go ahead and pop them in here. How you guys doing tonight?
Great.
What's up, everybody?
Thanks for having us.
Good. So, starting up there to your top left, we have Landry's Legend. Right beneath him is Slammin' Sammy, I believe, on Twitter. And then under me is going to be Jimmy J's Hair. So, some really fun stuff that they do on their Twitter page. If you are not following them, go ahead and do so because they do giveaways. They are doing fun little interactive stuff. Guest to players and stuff like that, and then they also just have good comments and opinions on the game overall in general, and then they have their own individual accounts as well that you should follow as well. So well, how about that Monday night victory, guys? Landry, we'll start with you. What was your biggest takeaways in that game, and what did you see, especially from the players and coaching staff, that was different from the other Sunday night beforehand where we got obliterated by the Niners?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think a couple of days are passing here, so I'm trying to get my brain back around it. I was headed towards Rams mode, even though we're in the bye week here. But I think what I've been saying most of the week is that Dak Prescott was good to very good, and I think most people have said his best game of the season, and that's something that we had to see.
Yeah,
and I expected from him. Defense was very good, honestly, against the top flight offense. That's the defense we expected. We've shut a couple teams out almost entirely this year, but you're not going to do that every single week. That was a heck of a performance from the defense. Those are my first two big ones.
for sure. I got to shout out the chat here really quick. Got my guy Falcon 00 in here. He's a big fan. Comes in here, spits some ball. He has a lot of knowledge, and I really appreciate him in the chat, so I got to give some love to him. My guy Mark McDonald, which I hung out with at the tailgate when I went to the game in the Jets, he also says, I miss getting to pick with them at the tailgate. Super sad about that. So, hey, next time, get a pick with these guys. They're awesome. Biggest takeaway from Falcon was...
we'll meet again for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I got to get a pick with you guys too, man.
Absolutely.
Biggest takeaway for Falcon, though, is he's not the bad luck guy. He finally was at a game, and we got the W. So that's a good positive thing. And then Banana Swag, Jacksonville sucks, but they're gonna win. So, and I think that's a first time commenter on there. So welcome to the show, Banana Swag. Thanks for tuning in. Sammy, we're gonna go to you and hear what you had to say about the game and your thoughts on it.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm glad we won, and I know you guys said it was Dak Prescott's game. We played good, but I also feel like it was kind of rough. I know we were facing a good team, but can you hear me?
No, you're good.
Okay. I don't know, and I think there's still quite a bit of adjustments to do. But I'm overall happy with it. Like Landry said, my memory's kind of foggy from Monday. Having a kid kind of ruined my memory, so bear with me. Everybody knows I'm a huge Tony Pollard fan, so I was really excited to see him after all those bad plays, and I was finally ready for him to be taken out. He took off, and he took it down the field, got us the momentum we needed, and we were just ready after that. I think DeMarcus Lawrence, very underrated, as people have been saying. I've loved him for a while. I think he has been nothing but on fire. I can't wait to see what he has coming next. That was my Dak's best game. I'm not a big Dak fan. I'm so sorry to admit that, but it might get a little better as the season goes. But I was impressed. I was proud of him for taking the stand and not seeming so scared and just ready to take action. I really enjoyed that, and I'm glad he pulled another dub.
Yeah, one thing that I respect about Dak is when he usually plays a bad game, he bounces back the next week in a big way. So, that's one positive thing you can say about him. And this game was no different. Came out there and balled. If it wasn't for the Gallup drop, I thought that he would have just been absolutely diamond and having one of the best, probably the best, and even with that drop, I think this is probably his best game of the season. So
Yeah, sure.
he
That one's
used
not
that
on him.
read
He put the
option
ball
as
there.
well. Yeah, exactly. And you'd finally used the read option and kept it when we've been asking for that and ran it for his like longest touchdown run of his career. So pretty crazy. But we're gonna go over here to Jimmy and close us out with your opening thoughts about that game, man.
Yeah, so for sure. Appreciate you. By the way, first off, thanks for having us on, man. We've enjoyed the show. We've always been a fan of yours since we've kind of been doing our thing as the Star We Are,
Mm-hmm.
and so we were honored to get the invite from you and have us on. So appreciate that first and foremost. Yeah, it was cool to see Schottenheimer say, oh, it was good to see Dak keep that one and it go for a touchdown. So I think it kind of I think with Schottenheimer saying that, it let me know that they've even been hesitant on letting him do it. And to see it unfold like that in front of their eyes and to understand, okay, well, this is something we're going to need. I don't think you'll see a lot of it in the regular season. Postseason and must-win games, they're going to use it, but they're going to limit it because when you pay a quarterback that much money, you don't just let them go crazy. But my overall takes from that game, Dak was obviously the star, and the numbers don't show that, but the pocket presence does show that. The all 22 film will show you the way he moved around, the way he manipulated his hips and his eyes and his shoulders and got out of the pocket. Landry made a really good point weeks ago that Dak is the kind of quarterback that'll seem to escape the pocket or get on the move and still take the sack, right? And we have seen that a lot. That game, he
Holding
did
the
not do
ball a
that.
little too long.
Very well,
Yep.
100%. And so he played, his numbers don't show, but he played great. On defense, obviously, Marquise Bell was outstanding.
Yes.
He played like a Pro Bowler. He played like an All Pro. And I want to clarify something about Dak, because Samantha said it. Dak not looking scared. I want to kind of point something out looking back at San Francisco, and I'll kind of hit the rewind button further than our last game. Sometimes you just have a team that has your number, right? And a quarterback just is a deer in headlights against that team. Carson Wentz was being called, had MVP votes and, was on a Super Bowl team, a team that went on to win the Super Bowl and looked really good. But against the Cowboys, he didn't. He stunk bad.
Yeah.
Looked like a deer in headlights. Dak has been that way against San Francisco. And so we don't have a quarterback problem. We have an opponent problem.
We have a matchup.
We got the same problem the rest of the NFL's got.
Okay.
100% of a matchup that a lot of people are going to have. You're right. So I just want to kind of clarify that, and just for all the Dak naysayers, the Dak, ifers, listen, the guy's good. Career top 10. I can't praise Dak enough. He's not the best. He's by far not the worst. He's a top 10 quarterback. That's enough said on that. And my last point was the defense. It was good in the run, but I fear that somewhere along the way of becoming really good at stopping the run, we've slacked a little bit in the past. Now, I know DaRon Bland made some good plays, should have had his hand on 2, and that could have changed the game. I understand that. If he gets 2 interceptions, especially one that could have been a pick 6, that changes the game. We beat them more handily. On the other hand, there were several plays where Justin Herbert, like Landry said, explosive offense. Justin Herbert just missed a few explosive plays that could have turned the tides and took us to an L. So there's still some things to clean up in our run game and our pass defense. As weird as that is to say, because we thought those were going to be the 2 strongest suits of our team coming into the season. We're going to be able to run the ball well, and we're going to play pass defense. Yeah. And somewhere over the last 2 weeks, it seems like those 2 things are what need to be cleaned up. But overall, happy with it.
Just thinking about back to the game, you make a good point, because whenever they went for it on 4th down in our red zone on us, DaRon Bland had the pass defense. But if he gets that interception, that's going to bring it out to the 25-yard line. Instead, that changes your entire offensive philosophy and what you want to do, because we went with 2 straight runs. We put Dak in a 3rd and long, and then we go 3 and out right after that. So that was a good point for you, just to bring up that we have to capitalize when those things do occur. My biggest takeaway, because I always watch my videos back, and it seems like whenever I have guests, I always let them talk, but I don't really get my points out as much. But my biggest point on the game was just that the ability to run the ball. We have to get that stuff going, and the Chargers really, their defense is not very good. I think
No.
they're ranked like 28th overall in the league for defense. So
And 32nd against the pass, which I thought we did good in the past.
yeah,
Like you said, Gallup misses one that you guys alluded to, and also I want to point out one the Tony Pollard kind of missed where Dak it kind of looked like Dak sells it a little to the outside, but Pollard has a bad angle. The trail route up the end.
hmm
I think that's a personnel issue. If you have Turpin, because we've seen Turpin in Pollard's
yeah.
spot, you put Turpin there. I think he's a couple steps ahead on that route, and he gets there. It's
I
a cleaner
think
play.
I think that for Tony Pollard, and he was a wide receiver at Memphis, so he should know how to
Mm-hmm.
do this. But for Tony Pollard, he ran the route correctly because it's just a wheel route, and so he didn't bend it towards the corner. But if you're a wide receiver running that route, you know that the safety over help over the top, you have to put it in the corner. So he would have
Mm-hmm.
adjusted if it's a wide receiver that plays
There you go.
consistent wide receiver snaps, though. But I get what you're saying. Overall, man, it was an exciting game, but I was never really frustrated or worried or anything like that. It felt like we had the game in hand all night. I mean, other than that
Agreed.
very first possession for the Chargers, they really didn't do very much. Their only other touchdown came from a muffed punt, or not really even a muffed punt. I don't even know what you would call it. It's just a freak play. So
That's when I was worried. That's the one time I was worried because at that point, we're up 7, about to get the ball, and all of a sudden they're handed 7. It's tied,
yeah,
and it's the third quarter.
yeah,
So I was worried then. But yeah,
And just to add to that, right after the punt, it was a horrible defensive pass interference call on Gilmore, where him and Keenan Allen at the top of the route, they're kind of on each other, and then
Mhm.
they both kind of press to kind of release, and then Keenan goes on the route. The ball was overthrown; he wasn't going to catch it anyway. They called DPI, and it wasn't, and that puts him on the 2.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to go ahead and hit the chat again. So, Falcon says, honestly, I think if our run game can be found, it's going to open up that offense. Whether would be for trading for someone on a scheme shift, we need that aspect to open up. Mark says, "Yep," but Rico needs more touches, which I've alluded to in the past, and I completely agree with. Falcon says, "Yes, Mark. I know Kelly, which is Kelly K9. If you're not following him, go ahead and do so." Talked about Henry, but I'm not sold if we can fit him in the cap space and how much would he have to get. So some good points, and since the chat's already talking about it, let's just jump into if there was a move that was that you guys could make over the bye that was kind of a splash Jerry Jones kind of a move. Would it be a Derrick Henry, a Devontae Adams-esque player? I'm trying to think of any other players. Maybe you could get like a Grady Jarrett or somebody along those lines from a team that's not doing as much as they wanted to do thus far in the season, but they have good players and they could possibly be a scheme fit in your team. Is that have you guys thought about that, or do you have a player like that?
so that's something that's for me that's hard to delve into because I'm not all the trade wire just opening up in terms of I don't like to speculate too much unless I know someone. There's some realism to the fact that they might be available, and the only one that stands out at all right now, and I believe we've got our coach Jimmy has a post from just yesterday, would be Derrick Henry, and that's the only one in a position where it's not. I hate to say a position of need, but that's a different type. Yeah, a different type of back. That would be something to add to the team that could potentially push it over the top.
Well, for me, and I know that Sammy really likes TP. I see Tony Pollard as more of that back that you use after you use the bruiser back. So he's a change of pace back, because when the defense is used to tackling a slower guy or a pounder guy that's going to create the contact, the defense is going to be on their heels to try to absorb the contract. What that does whenever you bring in the change of pace back is it allows them to make the cuts to make those guys miss, and it gets big gains. And that's exactly what happened with TP last year. I honestly think that he's lost a little bit of burst as well, just from that big pass play. Last year he would have probably took that to the house. So
yes,
and like Chat was saying with Rico Dowdle, I think that he's deserved some snaps. I mean, he looks like he has some juice out of that backfield, and he looks like he's one of those guys that is only going to continue to get better the more that he sees game reps. Sammy, did you have anything on that?
No, I mean, you guys are kind of hitting the points I was thinking. I agree. Now I can honestly say I'm learning a lot of the technical points like you guys don't know, so I'm not quite as in detail about it, but I agree with what you just said. I mean, I love Tony Pollard to death, and I I want him to be, RB1 and stuff, but watching Rico Dowdle play, I see some tough competition coming in if he can't, come in and do everything he needs to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they need to, I don't know, maybe not use Deuce as much until they can figure out with him, but I think I'm really starting to root for Rico Dowdle. I hope
Yeah.
that hip injury doesn't put him back any from where he just was.
And I think that the point that that I just have to make basically about TP is like he's on the franchise tag. Like you're not completely sold to him like you were with Zeke in the past, where you're like, we have to get him these touches. He's on this big contract, stuff like that. Like if you don't see a future with Tony Pollard, you can completely let him go to free agency next year, and you don't have to have any qualms about it. So yeah, utilize Rico. I think, like you were saying with Deuce Vaughn, I'm actually excited that they left him as an inactive because they don't know how to use him
Yeah.
right now, and our run blocking is basically horrible right now. I don't know what's up with the run blocking, but they need to use the outside runs more because all of the backs we have on the team right now are not bruising backs. And running it up the middle isn't bad. Like you still want to have that facet to your game, but outside runs are where our bread and butter is basically. Jimmy, did you have anything to say?
Yeah, so just a little bit. Yeah. I'm going to jump on your plane with the contract situation with the tag 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we're going to be sold to a running back anytime in the foreseeable future.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I just don't see that for the Cowboys. I think Zeke was the last long time $90 million running back you'll see for the Dallas Cowboys for a while. You get a Derrick Henry, like Landry said, I made the post about it. The reason I like it is you get it. If you get him on his current contract, I believe it's through next year. So you would easily be able to decide what you wanted to do with Tony Pollard. If you wanted to keep him and pay him as a change of pace back, or if you wanted to let another team try to compete for him in the market. You wouldn't have to waste the tag on him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you've already got Henry sitting there for the second year. So contractually it works. It gives you 2 years worth of running back regardless what happens with Tony Pollard.
Yeah.
Another reason I like it is because we've been, for some reason, running, and I thought it would be more tosses, more outside zones. We've been running an inside heavy run scheme.
Mm-hmm.
Derrick Henry fits that a lot more. The one thing that I don't know if our offensive line has been taking is Derrick Henry in the back of their legs. And I say that because when you run a heavy scheme, that's when you see guards take leg injuries from getting rolled on, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you run inside and heavy. And Derrick Henry is a pounder. He is going to use his offensive linemen as if they're the dummies out there. He's going to hit right through them. Who's ever in front, he's going to get you those 3 yards.
Yeah.
But you can go back and look how many times the Titans have shifted offensive linemen year after year after year because of leg injuries along those guards and those tackles.
I think another point though is like if you were to make the move for Derrick Henry, you as a linebacker in the second level, you have to be downhill on trying to tackle Derrick Henry because if you're not and he meets you with the force, he's dragging you for another 4 yards. That's how big of a specimen he is. Like he's a monster. So, which if you are a linebacker and you're going downhill, what does that do for your offense? It allows you to get the play action passing open, which allows for big plays downfield with your wide receivers in space because you brought those linebackers up into the trenches, which leaves that middle part of the field open for guys that are really good with Yak, your Brandon Cooks, your Turpins, your CeeDee Lambs. So that's just an aspect that I've really seen that we've missed. Not to say that it's just Zeke, because I don't think that Zeke is better than Tony Pollard. Like that's not what I'm saying. I just think that he brings that extra part or that extra facet to your offense that helps you. With that being said, though, let me jump right back here into chat and bring some of this stuff up, what they're saying. So,
well, and EJ, while you find a comment or two that you want to grab, I'll just kind of the reason I said that the last part about I want to go get him. I'm scared of him running into Zach Martin and Tyler Smith and Tyron Smith, right? I don't want him pounding in the back of these legs. I would almost use reverse psychology and continue to use Tony Pollard like we have been, and almost save Derrick Henry like we used Tony Pollard behind Zeke last year, and let that big bruiser catch some tosses and catch some outside runs and maybe get running later in the game, when linebackers are already a little warm. Think about a Derrick Henry that doesn't have to come in until halftime. You can hand him the ball 15 times that half, and it's going to be effective.
Yeah, and that's kind of what chat is saying. And I got to shout out Ligma, first time in the chat. So shout out to him. Glad to have you along for the ride. If you haven't so far, and this goes out to anybody in the chat, please do leave a like and possibly subscribe if you kind of like what we're doing here. Anyways, what Falcon was saying basically was Pollard is a baller. Let's be fair, but he is the lightning back, and without Thunder, it's just nothing. Not a knock on Pollard, just the way that he works.
Well said.
There's another comment. Hold on.
It's not nothing, but it's not a complete run game.
He said, Mark McDonald also just said, I agree. I wanted Zeke to stay. And then he says, I just don't think that Pollard is the back next year. I hate to say it, but I just don't think he is. And I agree with that. I think that if they were really, really sold on Pollard, they would have already gave him the contract to try to get him on a team-friendly deal, knowing that he came off of the broken leg. But now, like, let's say that you sign him to this deal and then he goes off. Like, you have to pay him good running back money, and you don't really want to do that. So I just think that they're going to move on from Pollard. They're going to look to fill that role from the draft. And if you're a scout or really you follow any college football, running back is the easiest position transition wise from college to the NFL. So it's not going to be a big culture shock to that rookie, whoever comes in here and takes over that lead back role. So.
And it's tough, because it's one of those things where I'm all for players getting paid, right? I want running backs to get paid, but in today's NFL, unless you have something, I would like to say a Saquon Barkley, this guy's injury prone, but just that kind of back. Unless you have that Christian McCaffrey, you're going to have to earn that 5-6 year contract. I mean, because in today's NFL, like you said, you don't think Pollard's going to be our back next year. I think you let your running back in the offseason show you who your back next year is. If I'm a GM, if I'm a coach, I don't think I'm committing to any running back, because we see year after year rookie running backs come in and be explosive and lightning and look good. They're just, I don't, and I'm not saying this in a negative way, but I've said it for about 4 years now. Running backs are almost dime a dozen.
Yeah,
they're not hard to go get a really viable running back in the NFL today.
Yeah,
there's for their paycheck, but
not only is it hard to find a special one, but in today's NFL, it's hard to find a scheme where it even amplifies that special one. You know what I mean? So, because it unless he's like a extremely, extremely good receiving back out of the backfield,
precisely,
you're not going to get.
You're not going to give him the ball 25 times.
Exactly, you're not going to get his entire skill set, because you're not willing to run your offense through that person. Mm-hmm. And that's not necessarily bad, because I think that the Cowboys really are set up to pass anyways, with the wide receivers we have on the outside. But we got to catch the dang ball, man. Which brings me up to my next point, Gallup. He was good a couple games ago, and especially that Arizona game, but it really didn't seem like anybody was going except for him, kind of a thing. Would you guys, from what you've seen thus far, would you make the switch from Tolbert or from Gallup to Tolbert over the bye week?
Landry? If you want me to start, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. Without question. That one's. I think I said, Jalen Tolbert is one of the guys. If you were to talk about younger guys who are standing out, he would fit that bill, but not enough to supplant a Michael Gallup right now. Michael Gallup's got a little more dog in him, a lot more, I think. More, a lot more physical. Because Jimmy is always talking about when you are, almost anywhere on the field, a long third down in the red zone. He just yells to try it out for Michael Gallup, because the guy draws PI penalties. I understand that some of the miscommunications and those, I haven't seen, last year they popped their head when he was in his first and second year. He had some miscommunication issues with Dak, but I think he's a more polished receiver than Jalen Tolbert at the moment.
Okay.
I would trust him more in the playoffs. There's a handful of things.
Sammy, do you have any thoughts on this?
So I'm kind of a softie when it comes to players. I mean, I get attached. So I'm always kind of a benefit of the doubt. He said that this year was going to be his comeback year, that he was going to do great things, and I'm still going to hold him up to it. I think some people start out rough and can gradually get better during the year. So and I think that's going to be the case for him. But at the same time, I think Tolbert is a player that every time I see him, I guess not every time, but the more he plays, the better he gets. And I want to see him reach his full potential and see what he is fully capable of before I am able to make that decision. But as of right now, I mean, I'm gonna stick with Michael Gallup. I'm giving him the benefit of a doubt, and I'm gonna think he's gonna make this comeback he keeps saying he's gonna make.
Long season.
You heard it there from Sammy. She's in it for the long haul. Jimmy, what was your thoughts on this?
No, I respect what she said. You know, let the guy, you know, prove what he said and give him the chance to, you know, foremost, right? Like, we're only 6 weeks in. We haven't. I understand we would all have loved for him to catch that ball that Dak placed kind of in his pocket. We say in his pocket, but he's laid out, he's flat. Those are hard catches to make, right? We pay these guys millions, so we're like, you have to catch that. You have to really gun to your head. You have to. Good luck. Like, you know, it's a tough play to make. So
I think I can make it, but
yeah, you probably could have. I mean,
nah, I'm messing.
Yeah.
no, but I think, you know, Coach said it. He gives you a little bit more of the dog, a little bit more of the athleticism, a little bit more of the if it's 4th and 2 against San Francisco in the playoffs, and I need and we want to try the Des ball, right? It's 4th and 2, but we want to go ahead
Or
and
the
try
slant.
the Des caught it play, or a physical slant, right? Something you have to win body up.
If they throw it to Gallup
over
at
Tolbert,
4th and 2 against the Niners, I'm
No.
mad. I'm mad, man. But
Me too. I'd probably
go
be
ahead.
screaming. No, I got you. But I'm just saying, like, if that's what we wanted to do, I'm just saying in that scenario, I'm taking Gallup over Tolbert as of right this second.
As my
Man,
third option on the field, yeah.
I'm gonna be completely
Yeah,
opposite of you guys. I
hear
say get that kid in there. You've already invested a high capital draft pick in him, 3rd round out of South Alabama.
He showed some.
I saw it first
promise.
personally for me scouting him. I thought that he was worthy of a 2nd round pick.
Right.
So I saw a lot of good stuff on film from him. I thought his rookie year was a complete letdown. I'll be completely honest about that. But the work he's put in over the offseason, getting better, working on his craft, getting in there at the DAC yard, working with Brian Schottenheimer, really being under the wing of a Brandon Cooks and learning from him, I think he's ready for the next step. So with that being said, you have other players on the book. If you could get like a 5th rounder for Michael Gallup, I would probably be all ears to that. Because not only do you get his contract off the books, but you also allow a young and up-and-comer guy that you've spent capital on to get playing time. And that's hard for me to say because I really do like Michael Gallup. I mean, he went to the same community college as me. You know, I love Michael Gallup. But at the same time, you have to think of these things as kind of like a front office thinks about him. You know, you've got players coming up, and I think he's due $13 million per year. And if you got rid of a way better player than Amari Cooper for not performing up to his contract, what are you saying about Michael Gallup?
Yeah.
So,
and no, you nailed it. You said the key words there, front office, right? Because if you're getting paid, you're getting played. And we've seen that happen in Dallas. We kind of know that to be the case. And I think you've kind of got a little bit of 50-50 of that going on, right? Because I agree with you. Tolbert has shown enough to like earn a chance, right? Like I even think he's shown enough that he might get some wide receiver 2 and 3 looks on some teams out there.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
However, you make a good point. I'll also use your same point to kind of argue mine. The growth he made from year 1 to year 2. If he doesn't get on the field but makes that equivalent growth from year 2 to 3, then all of a sudden you've got a wide receiver 2 or 3 on the field, fresh, ready to go, that a lot of people haven't seen film on, and you've got yourself a bona fide weapon. So I think it's a mix of that with Gallup's been paid, Gallup's going to get played.
My thing is it's like you've already made the trade for Brandon Cooks, and he's going to be here next year. They've the Texans are paying some of his money already. So you got Brandon Cooks, you got a Michael Gallup, and he's already paid, and then you've got CeeDee Lamb who's coming up. So which of those 3 guys are you willing to part ways with more so than the other ones?
None of them. I want to keep all 3 next year. Yeah.
So you're rolling next year with the same lineup as far as wide receivers go.
But I don't want to go that far because, like I said, because of a long season. But it sounds like you just said that was possible. If Gallup's already paid and we've already made the money for Lamb, we made that, last year and all year
Right,
we've been
Lamb's
working
going to
on
get
that.
his contract.
And Gallup's already paid and Cooks doesn't cost that much, then definitely, like I said, that tells me just that's plenty of time to keep
Right.
Jalen Tolbert
Yeah.
not stashed, but not forcing him out there like we need you to play right now. The good news about Jalen Tolbert, and I'm not against you, but the good news about Jalen Tolbert is if Michael Gallup gets hurt, hey, I'm thrilled Jalen Tolbert's coming in, to fill that position. Then he's on the team.
Real quick, Jimmy,
and here's a
that's
Go
the
ahead. Yeah.
thing that for me is in case of injury, you guys are completely right. Like, I'll admit that. For me though, is if the writing's all the wall for Michael Gallup and his trade value is only so much, either A, you have to trade him before the trade deadline right now, or or you're not going to get a trade for him, because by the time that it's next offseason and you're ready to move on from him, you're eating dead cap. And not only that, but other teams are going to look at that like, we don't want to trade for that guy. We already know you're going to release him. So that's my whole point about this. And I do like Michael Gallup, and if he's on the team, I'm going to root for him because I root for anybody with a star on their helmet. So Jimmy?
Yeah, and you bring up
100%, yeah.
another point there though, that we weren't quite I wasn't quite ready to even think about the Gallup contract situation and so forth. But just real quick back to the initial Tolbert versus Gallup right now thing. And I think Coach had something else though. Is what did I pull up here? Michael Gallup, career stats: 12 plus catches of 40 or more yards, 19 touchdowns. That's a pretty decent amount of production. Like Jalen Tolbert has been on the field. Where's his explosive play? He's had snaps, not a ton, but he would have to do something also. He would have to open my eyes and not just be a name and someone that we drafted and at a high value. But
and I think and that's where I'm saying kind of 50-50 because I 100% agree with that, and I 100% agree with EJ in the fact that I think Tolbert's shown enough to earn the ability to maybe get more snaps to show us those to really get your eye a little more. So like I said, that's why I'm kind of right there on the fence with it. As far as the Gallup contract goes, it is. If right now people are making, because we got the trade deadline coming up, obviously, if people are making calls, if the Titans are saying, man, we could use a possession receiver and a third round pick and we'd be willing to part with Derrick Henry, then that's where you're like, oh, I'm glad we got
that's what
Jalen Tolbert. Right. Then maybe you could make that move and decide that. But you are right about if you keep him this year and he doesn't play well and we end up having to push him down the roster for Jalen Tolbert, then he's getting paid money and hard to move off of. If he looks really good the rest of this year, then you can either keep him or he's easy to move off of, regardless of the money. So it's going to be interesting to see.
I don't know. I just thought that Jalen Tolbert showed a lot of promise in the preseason, and every time he's gotten snaps, he's, especially the Jets game, I was there. I mean, he made 2 or 3 crucial third down catches. So I'll champion that fan club. I guess I won't kick you guys off my show since you guys don't agree, but
well, you might get us on the Jalen Tolbert wagon. I mean, we'll see. Who knows? He may get some snaps.
Hey, eventually, 2 years down the line, I'm gonna bring this video back up when all you guys have a Jalen Tolbert jersey.
Hey, 2 years down the line, I think Jalen Tolbert, maybe I'll have a Jalen Tolbert jersey. I'm still with you on that.
Yeah.
But 6 games into his second season, that's where I'm at. Yeah.
Right. No, yeah, and like I said, I think it's almost the perfect spot because we're going to see exactly what we have in a supposed emerging, Michael Gallup coming back off injury. Like I said, I don't even think, because we really haven't seen Gallup or Cooks get necessarily the opportunities to explode, right? Like we haven't had one of those games yet where
Dak force-fed Gallup last game.
Well, the last game, right? No, this last game for sure. No, he did. He hit him on a lot of slants. He was trying to get to him. This very last game, you're right about that. And I will give you the fact, see, you're working on me a little bit because I'll give you he was force-fed a little bit.
We haven't thrown the ball in the air.
Necessarily have the production.
Yeah. I'm going to bring up a chat right quick. So Falcon was just saying last year Tolbert knows and said he was a disappointment. He owns that, and it's made him better. Now it's time to see what he can do with that drive. We can't see it if we don't use him. And Mark kind of just says exactly with that. So chat's on my side. Sorry, guys. I'm right.
We're using him on special teams.
No,
You
yeah,
know, we're using him on special.
and Tolbert has been good on special teams as well. So that's
Sure.
a positive in that respect.
Yes.
I did want to get to this question though, guys, because we're at the bye week now. So who is your most developed best player from last year that's been making those strides to really pop off this year. Everybody, now, here's the rules for this. I'm gonna start with Sammy because I feel like she hasn't talked a lot.
Can't
So
duplicate it.
yep, you have to, Sammy. I'm sorry, you're shaking your head, but
You pick.
you have to.
You pick it
That's
first.
not
You're
fair.
first. It is what it
But
is.
here's the caveat, though. You cannot say the same player as somebody else. Okay, so
Yeah.
I want to get
Yeah.
more like a broader spectrum of how good our players have improved over the offseason.
There's more out
Chat,
there.
chat. If you're in there and you're listening to the question and you have a player, also put that player into the chat and I'll try to bring that up if nobody else picks that player as well. So go ahead, Sammy.
Well, I kind of hate that you put me on the spot like that because I am not good on the spot. I like to think. Gosh, I don't know. I'm so sorry. Can I please go second?
Yeah. Okay. Jimmy, you go
Thank
ahead.
you.
Kick it off for us, Jimmy.
Okay, I got you. I'm gonna go with my boy T Sizzle. That's his X handle, his Twitter handle, Tyler Smith.
Tyler Smith. Yep.
I think I almost think that if you just taught him how to snap the ball well, he's well on his way to being one of the best centers in the league. If you put him out left or out right, he's well on his way to be one of the best tackles in the league. He's already proven to be well on his way to be one of the best guards in the league. I can't say enough about Tyler Smith. On the field, I can say a little bit about him off the field. His family was really nice. Me and Landry were fortunate enough to meet him post game. Was it the Patriots game? We were looking up down in the tunnels to run into him and get to meet him and talk to him for a second. I think it was his sister we spoke with for a minute. Really nice family, really good young man. Took a picture with us. But his play on the field has been, I mean, the way we've all seen the Fred Warner clip, right? When he goes and just grabs Fred Warner and tosses him like a hotel pillow, make sure he's got a little mint placed on his belly button and just tucks him in real nicely down there on the 30 somewhere. It was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. And so there you go. That's my guy, Tyler, most improved. And you know what? And just to close it out and land that Tyler Smith plane, like my guy Nick has to say, quick shout out. Sorry, EJ. Is he may just as well be the most improved from this year to next.
Yeah.
He was the most improved last year to this year, and I think he could be the most improved from this year to next, which is crazy to say, but I think next year he might be one of the best linemen in the entire league. So there you go.
Yeah. And chat is also saying, I think it's Osa's third year. They were bringing up Osa. It's any player. It's any year. Just that the big improvement you want to see from last year to this year. So they don't have to be a rookie. So I'll put that in the chat for you guys. Sammy, go ahead. You're second here. You better have a player, or else I'm just gonna kick you off.
Most improved.
Oh, okay, I see how it is. I'm probably gonna stick with generic, and I'm gonna say that I was very unpleased last year. I know not everything is his fault, but I was quite upset. I'm gonna say Dak.
Okay.
I don't know. Like I said, I'm not good at being put on the spot like this. So I'm just trying to go based off of what I remember. But I think that, I don't know, kind of like I was saying earlier, besides the San Francisco game, I think he's trying to come back to how he was his rookie year. I think he's trying to be more explosive, more brave out there. I think with him doing the play calling and kind of taking control of the situation more, or was I like that. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I don't really have a lot to say. There's a lot of players that I could say, but I don't have a specific one, more or less, that I think has just exploded from this year to last year. I mean,
if Dak wins the Super Bowl, will you say you love him?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
I would be
That's
so
what it's
excited if we won a Super Bowl. I would tell anybody I loved them. I mean,
here's my thing with. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I thought you were done.
No, you're fine. I was just gonna say the only other player that I could think of, and I don't know if it counts, is Stephon Gilmore. I think we brought a sense of what do you call it?
Professionalism.
Yeah, and he's, I feel like, younger again. The vibes are good, the energy's good. He's ready to go. Like
It's a great teammate.
Yeah.
he has been someone that I have had a lot of respect, and I love to see him on our field in our colors, and that's my number 2.
So I'm gonna talk on the Dak thing. So on one side of the coin, like I agree with you. I think that he's connected his legs and his mechanics more with the plays, and we've heard that over the offseason, and you especially saw it during the Patriots game. Um, and I think that he also has less pressure and lining up the coverages and stuff like that. That's been moved to Tyler Biotish, his responsibility for that stuff, so he can really just focus on looking at what the defense is presenting to him, and see if they're trying to disguise something, and then through that, call an audible or whatever. I think he's better in that manner. Now, what I will say though is last year, yes, he had the interceptions, but a lot of them were unfortunate, and really we didn't have the playmakers on the outside to really throw it all over the yard like we were. I think Dak last year was actually really, really good, and the media has soured our opinion on Dak. And what I mean by that is he had some electric throws, just his ability to fit stuff in tight windows, because the separation from our wide receivers just wasn't there between Noah Brown and Michael Gallup. And so I think he's kind of fell off a little bit. He's kind of come back into his shell a little bit and been more conservative this year. And I kind of hope to see him open up a little bit more and take a little bit more chances. And I'm willing to live with the interceptions if they occur, because Dak is better, in my opinion, when he is aggressive and working the entire field, because it seems like he's really kind of neglected, minus last game, neglected the middle part of the field.
I feel like it's sorry.
No, go
I
ahead.
was just gonna say, kind of a work in progress. He's getting braver with his legs and fixing that mistake from last year. So I think as soon as he secures that and feels completely comfortable with that, I think he's going to start trying to be more brave and make those passes like he was last year. I hope the interception number doesn't intimidate him. Like you said, I don't care how many interceptions he throws. I want to see him do it, but I think it's coming. I think that he has a lot coming this season, and I have a lot of faith in him.
And chat's kind of reiterating what you're saying. If Dak can use his legs more and run, he's vintage Dak, and that just gives you another weapon and another element that defenses need to fear. That's from Falcon, and completely agree. Ultra Cowboys in here now. What's up, Ultra? He says, here we go with another trash caught excuse. Never been electric versus the 49ers. Dak is ass. To quote the legendary Shady McCoy.
Oh yeah.
Mark McDonald also says Falcon exactly. I think he realized that Monday night, and yeah, I agree. Just the utilization of his legs brings that extra facet to the game, and really freezes the linebackers, because they don't always think, oh, Dak's gonna hand it off, because at the games before this, and minus the Tampa Bay game last year in the playoffs, he never used his legs, it seemed like. So really good point. Ligma's also saying, dude is right, haha, I'd set up a trade. I think he's talking about Dak, but anyways, Landry, go ahead and share your most improved player thus far in the season.
Yeah, I'll leave some meat on the bone there. It would have been, but I chose to go some other routes. It would have been Osa. The chat got to that. It would probably be Osa. He's gonna make the Pro Bowl. It's actually his second year in a row. It might have been Osa. From a rookie year to a second year, it was that. But I'll let the chat have that one. That's excellent. I mean, I knew that one was coming because it's the obvious. I'll give you a couple quick ones, because you said you wanted to highlight the team in total and what's really out there. Some of these guys, well, okay, Deron Bland is bordering becoming a big time player for us. Had that huge flash as soon as he got an opportunity as a rookie, and then gets thrown into the fire immediately, and teams want to come and pick on a player when a position goes down. Not working with Deron Bland. He's had a mistake or two. When you play cornerback against these type of receivers, you will get beaten. But in general, he's getting his hands on balls and has stepped up huge. So that's probably the biggest of the names. I think Cavante Turpin, coming out of the USFL, he did things as a special team role. Sam likes that one. That's Sam's. Sam said Cavante Turpin, by the way.
I am so mad I didn't say that. As soon as you said it, I was like, yes, absolutely yes.
Especially as like a receiving threat.
Exactly. Did things as a special teamer, and now they're asking him to learn how to do things in this NFL offense, and he's not saying he's a little guy. He's not shying away from it. I'll run a 40-yard wheel route. I'll take a jet sweep up the middle, between a B gap or something. Like it's he would be one. Then down the list a little bit, Jake Ferguson, improving and maybe more so because of the need. We needed him to not only be decent last year, but make some improvement and become something for Dak, and it's showing up.
Yeah.
So,
Man, you kind of took mine
uh,
with saying Turpin as well, because I was just about to bring up him being utilized in the receiving game. But I think that I'll probably have to bring up Marquise Bell, especially coming off that last game. I don't know how many tackles for loss he had. He was flying all over the field, and he's not only made an impact at the safety role, which he's previously played, but as a linebacker. I mean, the guy understands how to decipher what the offense is doing pre-snap and understand how to shoot gaps and get in that backfield and make a play. So really definitely do like Marquise Bell for one of those guys. You alluded to Jake Ferguson. The next question, though, who's been the biggest disappointment for you guys this far this season? For me, I know that it's Jaron Curse, and I've been kind of vocal on social media about that, and Jaron's a vocal guy on social media as well. He hasn't come at me yet, but I just think that he's a leader, and especially with Diggs going down, I thought he was the player that was going to step up and make an impact. Really hasn't been that sticky or good in coverage, and man, he seems like he's taking the eye candy more often than not in the run department as well. So he's my biggest disappointment. Whoever has the next one, go ahead and jump in there and let your thoughts be known. Doesn't have to be a different guy, because I know that there's not too many players to pick from here.
Disappointments is hard because, and I've got one or two in mind, and I've kind of got one that stands out a little more than the rest. But it's hard to. I don't want to say it because it sounds negative, and no one has really disappointed me. Because I feel like overall we've played really good, and I think the guys who have so-called disappointed and let me down, I think they'll get it together. One name that stands out, and I know he's been statistically, like his coverage grade and his PFF grades and stuff has been good, is Jaron Curse. But when you watch a lot of the film, he's not been great against the run as far as like hitting gaps and solidifying the edge. I'm not sure how many of Kittle's touchdowns he was responsible for, if any, but I know that's his part of the field and that's usually his assignment. So I want to feel like somewhere along the way he let us down in that game pretty bad as far as his coverage. And then, we saw him just blatantly line up offside. Just
And that's been a whole team
unaware
thing, though. They need to figure that thing out. So I don't understand that. Like that's the one job you have, is to walk up to the line of scrimmage, look down, see where the ball is. If you're crowning your helmets over the line of scrimmage, jump back a step. Like, I don't understand that, but keep going. Sorry.
And so I think, like I said, none of them have disappointed me, but I think Curse hasn't. He would be the one that stuck out the most as far as what I expected him to be this year.
Yeah.
Which was one of the better defenders on our team and one of the better, like, safety kind of / hybrid role that he plays in the league, and just an absolute tight end destroyer. I really had those expectations for him. So I would say there's the disappointment as far as that. And then the only other guy, I almost even don't know if I have a second one, to be honest.
I'll throw some names out here for Sammy and Landry that the chat's naming, and I think they're all good options. Sam Williams is an option. LVE to an extent. Somebody has said Jake Ferguson. They were expecting a little bit more from him. For me, I know one of the players that has kind of been disappointing to me, and it might just be because of his utilization in the offense, is Brandon Cooks. I thought he was going to have a bigger impact than he has thus far in the season. Stephon Gilmore to an extent for me. I think he's kind of lost a step, not as sticky in coverage as he once has been. But that's to be expected. He's an older player. And then if there was one player that I was I should have talked about at the beginning, probably more so than Jaron Curse. And even though it wasn't like an expectation for me because I was saying this out of the draft, but Mozzie Smith, you've been accustomed to so many players coming in as your first round draft pick here in Cowboys land and making it an immediate impact, and he hasn't. And then you've turned around and you talk about Luke Schoonmaker, one catch, one reception, 1 yard, 1 touchdown. Like that's not gonna cut it. You know what I mean? So, Sammy, do you have somebody?
Yeah. Okay. So for Ron Curse, I just want to say, I mean, I agree. I think he's definitely had a pretty bad beginning, but I think the number one is cursed. I think Kelvin Joseph put a curse on it, and Ron Curse is cursed because I think, last year he was just like you guys said, he was so much better. He was so happy, so go get it, and now I don't know. I feel like he's just not trying as hard. I'm pretty sure he's gotten more penalties. Like, I don't know. My
Yeah.
other one, I kind of blanked. I would have to definitely say Mozzie. I was so excited for Mozzie. I was upset because I knew Micah wanted Jalen Carter, and we didn't get that. So then he was really excited for Mozzie. And I kind of got excited because I feel like Micah knows what to look for, what he's looking at, just because of what he's capable of. But when I seen that he didn't even like football, he just likes to hit people, that honestly kind of turned me off to him. I mean, I feel like in order to be good at this sport, you have to have a love for it. You have to have a drive to want to go out there and do it. And hitting people is not a good enough answer.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
And
I think that like that's kind of like a old school like fan service kind of a thing because we want the hard nosed guys that they want to be tough and hit people, but that kind of left a little bit of a distaste in my mouth as well. Kind of just what you're saying about you want to love the game, you want it to encapsulate everything that you're about, and through that you want to work to get better each and every single day so that you are one of those perennial all pro players that is looked to as being a face of your franchise or a face of the entire NFL if you're to that level. So keep on going with your point though.
yeah, oh no, I mean that was it. And okay, now this player, and I could be way off base. I could be way wrong, so please call me out if I'm wrong. I'm not disappointed. He is still an amazing player, but I am kind of, I don't know. I feel like Michael Parsons has been very hungry and he's been up to the challenge, but I just almost feel like he's not as hungry as he was last year. I mean, he gets his good points in his games, but I don't know. It's just more of a facial expression. I feel like he's annoyed. I feel like, I don't know.
I think that it's less about him not getting sacks and stuff like that. It's more about him having to face doubles, triple teams, and stuff like that. You're talking about a linebacker player out of college who only was a situational pass rusher. And when you're a situational pass rusher, that means that you're typically on a blitz. So you're facing a lot of one-on-one blocks and stuff like that. So now that he's a full-time pass rusher and they expect him to get off only rushing fours, he's more often than not facing those double teams, and he gets frustrated with himself for not beating those and not being that playmaker that he knows that he can be.
Right, and that's what I wonder. And I mean, and I could be wrong, and if I am, like I said, but didn't he want to change to be able to push down these 2 to 3 guys? Didn't he want that change to show that he can do this all? I don't know, but
I
my
think
last player.
for me, I think that Mike has been really good, but
I don't know. I don't know. I'll probably go back and take it back.
I'll kind of no. If I can, I'll kind of. I think I know where you're coming from with that, because when you get the name Lawrence Taylor attached to your name, and when you get MVP in the first 3 or 4 games of the season attached to your name as a defensive player of the year attached to your name, you expect to be sitting on the quarterback even with the doubles and triple teams. So I get where Sam's saying as far as that. Like, listen, I don't care how many doubles and triple teams you put on Lawrence Taylor. He's hitting you. He's hitting you once or twice, maybe even 3 or 4 times a game. He's going to get a sack or 2, and he's going to put his hands on you a lot. So I understand. I think maybe like Sam was saying, not so much disappointed, but just more expected it to be.
Yes, expected
expected it to be that performance where right now we are talking about Michael Parsons as the MVP of the league. He's got 7, 8 sacks. He's an absolute mauler. He's killing double, triple teams. I think that's what she was wanting, and it hasn't quite been that this year. He has been good. His pressure rate is still leading the NFL. Sack number isn't, high. Who was it? Did somebody have a 6-sack game this
Yeah,
season
Khalil
already?
Mack.
Khalil Mack. Oh
like
my
how you
God.
just saw. So, Landry, I'll let you get in there and share your biggest disappointed player.
Yeah. It's going to end up not being a player. It's the coach. So,
Speak
same
to
thing
him.
again.
Speak to him.
Same thing again with this guy, man. It's the play calling and stuff. I've kind of liked some of it, but it's the discipline, it's the formation penalties, it's the situational, and this is something you said we didn't quite get around to it to remind you. It's the timeouts, it's the time, the time on the clock, and when we're using timeouts, it's the same thing again. You lose a playoff game again. Just on the same thing. Those are the differentiators. We've got the talent on this team. Without even Trey Diggs goes down, we could lose other players. We don't need Derrick Henry to go to the Super Bowl. I would just like him. We can go to the Super Bowl with this team of players, but it'd be the coach. And by the way, if it was a player, it's so funny. I was just defending Gallup. I started thinking it could be Gallup, even though I was arguing I'd take Gallup over Tolbert. It could be him in terms of a disappointment, but that speaks to the roster we have and the way the players have pretty well done their job and done what they've been asked to do.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Even the players that you could say they've disappointed me this year, you're not going cut them.
Nope.
Which you could say that a lot of years. Like they're disappointing, cut them. So you're right. You can go across our starters and not say, no, we need to get rid of that guy. No, I don't. I think I like them all where they're at.
Let me roll through chat, what chat's saying right here. And I got to shout out my boy Bot G Eric. He's been day one with me. Known him from another podcast. Shout out Cowboys Can Fan podcast. And yeah, he's ride or die with me. So I got to always shout out my guy Boots G Eric.
awesome.
Anyways, with that being said, the chat is also saying Micah is hitting them through, and he's pressuring them. He's number 2 in the NFL with pressures. Ultra Cowboy says, I've seen LT have bad games. LT didn't win the MVP until year 5. Micah has more sacks than LT in the first 2 years. Anyways, this generation wants Madden results, and I can definitely agree with that. I mean, too many times we're expecting Micah to come out there and get 2 sacks a game. That just doesn't happen. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And
here's
really,
what I would say.
Sacks are overrated anyways. When you're pressuring the quarterback and you're getting in his face and you're making the ball come out early, exactly. You're being disruptive. That stuff weighs more than the sack numbers at the end of the day. So
games have ended where NFL analysts and people who played the game and know what's going on, who just commentated a game where Micah Parsons had no sacks, still gave him the credit for being the differentiator in the game. So even without the numbers, it's happening. The guy's probably the front runner. If he's not the front runner for defensive MVPs, right there in the top 3, no, he's all right. Be all right, Sam.
All right, and Jimmy, did you share yours yet or no?
I did. It was Curse. I mean,
that's right,
as little as it was Curse.
Yeah.
I do want to real quick though. I kind of made a little mental note. Landry pointed out the coaching. And you're right. Like it could be when you look across our entire roster, coaching staff,
the head coach,
every part.
I like the defensive coach. I like the special teams coach.
Our weakest link. Like if you had to pick the weakest link in the whole picture, if it's Mike McCarthy, I think we're okay because I've seen teams survive their head coach. I've seen the Bengals survive their head coach probably being their worst part and make it to a Super Bowl with not a rookie quarterback, but essentially a rookie quarterback. It was his first season played, but second year. So you can, if your quarterback's your weakest link, can't survive that. If your defense is your weakest link, you're not surviving that. Head coach can be survived.
But when your head coach is calling the plays, can you survive it?
That's different. That's different.
And that's my biggest thing. And this is, we'll just shift the conversation completely to this because I haven't been impressed by the coaching either. Dan Quinn, he gets the benefit of the doubt, but he's dropped 2 stinkers as well. Arizona game was a stinker. The Niners game was a stinker. And he's very good against the Niners in the past, drawing up these game plans and limiting what Kyle Shanahan wants to do. So I will give him the benefit of the doubt. But where I'm super, super disappointed is in training camp. We saw so much creativity. We saw the shallow crosses with the deep crosses. Leveraging and utilizing all three levels of the field in a certain play, which Kellen Moore didn't do nearly enough. We saw the
Mhm.
deep balls. We saw the sluggos back. We saw less option routes, but better option routes. So you're talking about your Y options with your tight end, which is typically up the seams, and those are the good option routes that you want, not where you're deciding if it's 20, 30 yards downfield, and if you do let it loose and it's not where your receiver's seeing it go, it's a
It's an
free
interception.
free interception for the safety. So the good option plays we were seeing with the tight ends and then the shallow options and stuff like that. And overall, I just think that Mike McCarthy's kind of tried to dumb it down a little bit too much, and that's not going to work in today's NFL. I think that he needs to have more creativity. And Kellen Moore, for as much as you say about Kellen Moore, like, creativity is one thing he was not lacking. He had, and you can be mad about the end around plays and the
Yeah.
I can't even remember, flea flickers and stuff like that he used to try to do at weird points in the game, but at least he was creative. You know what I mean? So, and I also think that he's being neglected of the middle of the field with Dak, because that's where the most interceptions came from last year. You have to use the middle of the field against
Sure.
shell coverage, two deep safety looks. You have to, or else you're not going to win. And that is exactly what the Niners do. Is they're either playing cover 2 or cover 1, and their Hufanga is down in the box, and he's forcing you to pass because they don't think that you can pass on them. And that's your Achilles heel. You cannot be the Niners right now. So the only way that, if you're going to get past Dak not playing good enough against the Niners, you have to out scheme the Niners. That starts with coaching. That starts with cutting out the boneheaded penalties and all these pre-snap stuff. You have to be better in all of the other phases to make up for Dak's inefficiency or lack thereof of something when it comes to facing the Niners.
Yeah, I think so. To kind of speak on the Niners thing, I think what happened with the defense, because they definitely, like you said, laid a goose egg. It didn't look great from Quinn's perspective. It didn't look good from the player's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Arizona too, right? I think Quinn almost got cutesy. We lost Diggs 30-something hours before the game. He tried, LVE was lined up kind of as an outside linebacker, like a Dante Fowler a few times. It looked weird, right? Scheme wise,
Mm-hmm.
everything looked a little strange. Our defense didn't feel like it was. Against the 49ers, everything looked lined up right. We just played poorly. And I think our offense did about everything you can as an offense to make it as hard for your defense as possible in that 49ers game. I will say that I think, like I said, our offense didn't make it too easy on our defense, so I'll give them a little bit of slack there. What I will say is, and EJ, I kind of want your opinion on this because I've mentioned it before. I wonder how much of it is our coaches, and this is just kind of just a deep down hope. How much 3D chess are we playing here? Because, like you said, in the offseason, we saw it. At training camp, we saw it. Even against the Jets a little bit, we saw it. We had no reason to throw the ball against the Jets, and Dak went 31 of 38.
Yeah, that's the strength of their team.
Lamb had 11 or 12 catches and went off. So,
and not only did he go off, but it was from utilizing him in motion plays and get him in on the run and
right.
just plays like that we haven't seen in the past. So it's one of those things, man. I don't know that I think our motion rate is at the bottom of the league right now. I think it's like 8% or something like that. So
the lowest.
We've got to utilize that, and kind of basically to sum up what you were kind of just saying is that something has to change in order for us to really be felt as a team that is different from the Cowboys teams in the past. Because
and that's
go
that's
ahead.
where I'll kind of lay it to you and the chat, even if the chat kind of wants to give me their opinion, and you and Landry and Sammy definitely give me your guys's. That's what I mean. How much of it is like, I think against the Cardinals, because like you said, we haven't used much of it. We're the lowest in the league as far as motion rate.
Mm.
We're the lowest in creativity. We almost run the most vanilla offense in the league. We're 4-2, and if you didn't play an absolute stinker against the Cardinals, you could easily be 5-1. Right? We should be
Yeah,
5-1
should be 5-1.
with playing a really vanilla offense. And so that's what I mean. How much of it is 3D chess to where Mike McCarthy's saying we don't care. We're going to be in the tournament, and there's 2 or 3 games that matter to get us to the one that we want to win, right?
Mm.
And so do we all of a sudden go from being the lowest motion rate, the least creative, and still win 11, 12 games, and then all of a sudden be the most motion rate and the most, how much of it are we holding back, or do you think it's still just working out kinks?
You know what? It's one of those things for me, in my personal opinion. I would rather your players know what you're doing and execute it against a different defense each week, and not try to hide all of your keep all your cards in your close to your chest or whatever. Because when
Yeah.
you're asking them to do something different, it's starting in the playoffs that they haven't done all season previous. That's how you get those stupid bonehead penalties, the pre-snap
The
motions,
penalties.
the stuff like that. And that's minus the turnovers, the turnover differential, and then the amount of penalties you get in the playoffs are the big killers.
Right.
So
Well, and just to kind of and to add on to your point, because that's a great point that you mentioned. Like you want your players to understand, like, look, this is what we want to do when we need to win games, right? Like when we want to show our when we want to go play our best football and line up our A+ game against somebody, this is what we want. And we've seen it against the Jets. We've seen it against the first team that we thought we could possibly lose to, right? And
yeah,
now we didn't understand that we were necessarily going to be looking at Zach Wilson, but I think we kept that Jets game plan for Aaron Rodgers. And we went in there and we played offensively and defensively lights out. Like you mentioned it, we were seeing the things that we want to see. It was probably the game where we had the most motion rate, where we had CD in the slot and outside the most, where we used the most of that. And Dak went 31 of 38. And I think maybe, and like I said, it's more of a hope. It's more of a, this is what I would like it to be.
yeah.
I hope it's just not problems and kinks. I hope we saw like, okay, when we want to operate, we can do that. And we did it against the Jets defense. There's no need to do it again anytime soon. Maybe in another game, 2 or 3 weeks down the road against Philly, you'll see it again. And maybe we pop out and you're like, oh, look, where's that been? And then it goes away for another 5 or 6 weeks. I'm just saying, I hope it's something that we have in the bag and just are choosing to not do.
And for me, and if that's the case, yes, I love that. But the Niners game was the game to do that.
Sure.
You had all
They
of
did
the all of the reason to give your players some confidence, knowing that you could possibly beat that team, and then possibly getting that win over the Niners to allow you to get the home field advantage. That's so important in the playoffs. So that was the game to do it. You know what I mean? So
sure. And maybe we
go ahead.
No, so maybe we wanted to. It just, if you recall the first play of the game, Dak misses, sells the tight end. And then I think on that exact same drive, when we went 3 and out, misses. It was either Gallup or Cooks on the sideline, like 2 misses almost back to back by Dak. And that's when you were like, I don't care what the game plan is this game. Our quarterback doesn't look like he's ready to go win us this game, like from the jump, and then another 3 and out, and then a fumble. And it was just like, so I don't know if.
Yeah.
That's like you said, that's definitely the game you wanted to do it. But from 8 minutes into the game, it almost felt like it didn't matter what we were going to do for the rest of the game. They already had too big of a lead, too much momentum in their house. It was all downhill from there.
Yeah. I don't know. I get the sense from Dak that he's like, it's like a school bully. You're like, you hype yourself in the mirror in the morning. You're like, I'm not putting up with this crap any longer. I'm gonna step up to this dude. But when it comes time to step up to the dude, you cower and you sink into your shoes. That kind of feels like it is, how it is with Dak and the 49ers. And it's sad because I've said this before, on my podcast and stuff like that, is that like Dak, I want to see the dude succeed. Like I so want to be right and say like, oh, I told you guys so. You thought that he couldn't do this. You thought that you were right, but I told you guys all along, Dak is good enough to do this, and it hasn't held true. So at the end of the day, you've got to get a first or second seed in the playoffs and make the run, get that confidence that, hey, this is finally the year, especially if you're the second seed and you have to win 2 games to get to that NFC Championship game. That's going to bode a lot of confidence in these players. And you talk about losing not once, not twice, not three times, but a possibility of fourth time to the same team if you do meet the Niners in the NFC Championship game. Um, I know that I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I got to the NFC Championship game, which we haven't been in so many years, and then I lost the same old team that's had my number for however many seasons in the past. So,
Yeah.
Landry, do you have anything on this stuff?
No, there you go.
Sammy?
Nope, I'm just enjoying listening to what you guys have to say. I feel like I agree offensive we need to do something, but I'm not skilled enough in that to be able to preach on what they should do. I just know it needs to be better, you know?
Man, well, I think I got most of my questions out. Did you guys have any questions that you kind of wrote down that you want to get out there and discuss?
I didn't. I was gonna bring up. It wasn't a must, but I was just gonna bring up our, because you mentioned it in your last statement there. You want to be first in the NFC. Our opponent's schedules,
They're tough for the
in
Eagles and the
particular the
Niners.
Eagles.
Yeah.
In particular the Eagles, like, because winning the division is obviously number one. You
Well,
can't win the
now
conference if you don't win the
The
division.
Eagles
So,
are definitely in the number 1 seed now. I mean, they signed Julio Jones. I mean, he's the greatest wide
No.
receiver.
well, let me tell you about teams who have previously signed Julio Jones and how none of them make the playoffs. Okay,
Nah,
let me just tell you
I
about
was
that.
just joking about that.
Everywhere he goes, it seems like the last few teams that have picked him up though and tried him out,
Yeah.
it wasn't it. I mean,
Julio
it didn't,
Jones or not, they're about to lose some football games.
that was my
Oh,
biggest point.
yeah.
They're
A
next
bunch.
not only 7 but 8 games.
Yeah. That's
Their
a
next
tough
8
schedule.
games look
They
like
don't play
they could
anything with Super
easily
Bowl
lose 5
contenders.
to 6. Yes, it's the
They play
Dolphins,
nothing but
it's
the Super Bowl contenders.
Niners, Eagles, us
Dolphins.
twice, Bills.
Dolphins.
It's horrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
All while we're playing the Rams, the Panthers, the Seahawks, like teams that we should come out with dubs. So I think we're winning this division in 4 weeks by 2 games.
Here's for the downfall of the Eagles.
Hey,
Yeah. Oh yeah,
you're
I couldn't wait because I saw their schedule right here.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I mean, they have a gauntlet to get through, and thus far they really haven't impressed me much. But they're winning games, so 5-1. Your record is who you are, as Bill Parcells said in the past. So at the end of the day, this is where teams start to make a little bit of a separation between themselves. Is that middle part of the season, and they got two matchups with us, and then I think they also play the almost called them by their former name, the Commanders, again here soon, and that was a overtime game, and that was in Philly. So now they got to go to the Commanders' house, and
That's the only one. That's the only winnable game they have left.
So
Don't they play Miami next?
yeah, Miami is going to be a really really good game.
I am so excited for them to play.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry it's so loud here.
Oh no, you're good. I don't actually hear any background noise from you, so you're fine.
Okay, good.
Any other questions, or if chat, you're still popping in there on chat, leave us a question real quick, and hopefully we can get to it. One thing I did, I guess, I brought this up in pre-live for us earlier, but that halftime decision by Mike McCarthy to elect to go for the 3 points instead of trying to get it into the end zone. Even though it was 8 seconds left and they had the timeout, what was your guys' thoughts on that? Or, were you okay with it? You're in a tough game, just take the points, or was that kind of cowardice to you guys?
Yeah, I'll be quick. I'm pretty much done with it. It's been kind of exhausted all over the national media. I feel like this week a lot. But it's not so much the last few seconds or the decision to not kick it or something with 8 seconds. It's why 25 seconds runs off the clock when you have 2 timeouts and you just had a completion with 50 seconds to go and you're around the 30. Like it was the entire last minute. It was both of the last timeouts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a huge problem with it. Not what happened in the very, very end, but it should have never gotten that way. We should.
Yeah, I'll just echo what you said. I just thought that you have an well, I don't know if
Have
I'm.
it.
Yeah, we don't
Say that.
forgive you. No, I'm just kidding.
No,
Oh, hey,
No,
they're
I
back.
feel like I'm ready for some hate on that, but
there
I
you are,
don't
huh?
hate him. I still love him.
Oh, I don't know what happened. You guys just popped out. Now the screens are all messed up. But I don't know. It all
Yes.
froze on me. Say what you guys were
It
saying
looks
real
like
quick.
my head is on Landry's body. That's so funny.
There you go. Hey, let me just roll to. We'll just put this screen up for now, since your
There
guys'
we go.
cameras are down. It just say what you were saying. I didn't get to hear any of it. It all froze on me, Jimmy.
Oh no, we kind of lost you there in the mix. No, I think all the points made are really good. Like you guys said, we're saying about the clock management. I think the going for the field goal with the 8 seconds, it just depends on what you have in the playbook and what you feel comfortable with in that amount of time. If you can get the play off, how much risk it puts your quarterback in. Just there's a lot of thought going into it. So I'm not so unhappy with. Look, we've had the best kicker in the league. It's going to be 3 points rather than risk trying something in those 8 seconds, losing those ability to get 3 points. I'm okay with taking that 3 right there. I'm less okay with how we, like Landry said, how we got to 8 seconds left with a down to go, so.
Completely agree.
With the ball never getting to the end zone, never getting pushed to the end zone.
Right,
at all.
never even getting attempted.
We should have had 3 shots at the end zone with the amount of time
Look,
we had.
I try to say, and look, we've seen it against Arizona. I mean, they went to a commercial, they come back and they picked up the little yellow flag that they threw that was an obvious pass interference against Michael Gallup. But especially when I scream try it out, like Coach alluded to earlier, but that's my kind of go-to saying with Michael Gallup. I need to make it a shirt. But those are the situations. Try it out. Send that young athlete up the 9, call the 9, and just throw it up to him. If he doesn't grab it, he's not going to let the other guy grab it. That's for sure. And he might just get a flag out of it. And so, those I'd have liked to. If you show me that at least once, then I don't care what else happens the entire rest of the possession. You at least showed me that, hey, we want 6, and we don't want to settle without at least trying for 6. So I agree with you. It was a same thing against San Francisco. When you're down, I feel like just taking it into halftime there. I know it's a different situation, like there's really not a lot to go for. You'd have to do a lot to try to even get into field goal range or make something happen. But when you're down 21-7 against a team on the road in their house, against a team that is going to come out and perform just as well, I don't care if there's 2 seconds left. You go try to score. Every single snap, every second you have, you try to score against the 49ers. And so that was a letdown as well. So I agree with you on that.
Yeah. Sammy, did you have any last comments on that, or are you?
No, I'm sorry. My son is very tired, so I've been kind of doing that. I am so sorry.
Okay. Yep. No worries. Go ahead and take care of that. Well, that's all I really had, guys. I appreciate you guys getting in here, getting in your entire coaching outfits and or uniform, should I say? Got the legendary Landry Legend. Is that what your actual ad is on Twitter?
Yeah, that's it.
And then Jimmy J's hair, and then Slam and Sammy on Twitter. Go follow these guys and gal. They really do have really great content, and I appreciate them jumping on the show a lot. And I thought it was a good discussion. So without further ado, we'll catch you guys next time. And if you didn't leave a like already, please do consider leaving a like and hit that subscribe button. I'll catch you next time. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, EJ.
Yeah. Forget what you got, none of it matters until you don't work from the top. I'm talking non-stop, squad. They've been down with me for years, and none of them asking for squad. Fight, out of the gutter, don't stutter, I'm taking my shots. Block, out the noise, some others, my brothers and me, we going off. Bippity pop, talking that ish, I'ma empty my clip, my Ruger go pop. There goes another, I'm jumping for cover, then I'm taking off, we not getting caught. Tired of violence, but you pushing buttons, it's something that's ticking me off. Soft, say it again, gonna regret it, I'm talking beheaded, your body's gon' rot. If you do not know me, don't comment on my life.